Good afternoon, guys. How are we all doing? I am Dan from Trading with Dan. This is our Bitcoin daily update. If you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So yes, we had our first attempt, obviously apart from this one here, but we had our first attempt of losing our pretty important support area here. And as you can see, it was a bit of a bear trap. Wicked pretty aggressively back above it, and now we're currently back above the support zone. So that is not to say that we don't lose this support zone, it's just not lost on obviously on this occasion. To the upside, we've got around 17,500 if we can get back above these wicks at 18,500 and then this 18,500. So I mean, if we want to start to make progress through here and particularly get above these wicks at 18,000 and then this area 18,500 back into this zone here, things will start to look pretty good. But obviously we are very close and we have just tested into this support area again. So I mean, you have to kind of give the percentage probabilities to the downside. However, obviously anything can happen in these markets. There is obviously a lot of bearishness already priced in. There is a lot of funds already gone. So I mean, those funds are gone. They're not exactly there to be like market sold, but there will obviously be people that will need to sell to raise whatever capital they can. But yeah, market's not looking great. But if we go and look at if we want to go and look at macros, yeah, macro, could this help us out? Obviously stock markets are at a pretty important level here, so finding resistance as you would potentially expect. So if we are to break through here, continue to the upside, especially if we break this downward sloping trend line, get towards the 4200s, then it's got to give crypto a bid in that environment, unless we have something else crypto specific come out. And this is looking good. This is looking constructive. We're above all this price action, above this level, just testing into the next this level of resistance. So can we get a push up from here? I mean, we certainly can. Is that the most likely scenario? I think it is. Does that mean we're necessarily going to break the trend line and catapult onwards and upwards? Not necessarily. However, at least coming up a bit higher to test into it does seem pretty likely. DXY, whilst the stock market is at resistance, the DXY has just bounced off an important support area. So that is nothing that you wouldn't expect to see at that level. Not necessarily going to move in a straight line down, although it did for quite a way. But yeah, it has bounced here, so we could easily bounce back up to the underside of this resistance. We could bounce up to these wicks area. We'll actually draw a horizontal area of resistance in here too. We could basically bounce up to here, which is not too much higher than where we are now. So that's all fine. It does look like this trend can be changing. Maybe we do print a head and shoulders of sorts. Maybe that does trigger as lower price action over time. But yeah, we're gonna catapult straight down here right now, in the right here and now. Well, who knows? But yeah, we shall see. Bitcoin dominance, we'll have a quick look at that. Yeah, it's sort of in the middle of its range, as you can see, middle of this sideways range we've got going on there. The Ethereum Satoshi pairing is at resistance again as well, so this is not ideal. It's not a good look. It is nice to see that obviously whatever this this big liquidation event here, someone was obviously selling a lot of Ethereum at that point, was actually the ratio pretty much came back into line, and we are just at where you would expect to be following this trend down here. So it's good to see that that was brought back up. It shows that there is demand. People didn't just puke out even further their precious Ethereums. they actually ratio was brought back up. In the dollar value, our important level for Ethereum, obviously we are testing into now. This is a relatively equivalent to 8,500 in Bitcoin. If we get back above here, it will look good for obviously more upward price action back into our old range. And that, yeah, it's not very far. I mean, we have wicked above it. We're less than $100 below it, but obviously it is resistance. So yeah, it is resistance. Though we're not just gonna act like it isn't there. Basically, gold is at resistance. Also, yeah, another asset at either its relative resistance or support. Gold at resistance, but similar to the stock market, this is looking like it can continue higher. We wouldn't necessarily expect it to blast straight through this in one go. So for it to start consolidate here, maybe pull back a little bit, we can draw another horizontal here, a level of support around this area here. I mean, this would be a pretty good level for it just to trade in and then take another leg to the upside. Silver, similarly, at resistance again. It's like these markets all move together, isn't it? At resistance. So yeah, there we go. 10-year, a quick look at 10-year. 10-year is not at resistance or anything like that. Well, it's actually resistance from the yeah, it's at resistance. It's through resistance. It's testing into it as basically more bullish downside pressure on this yield could be occurring. So yeah, the 10-year, but the 10-year though had been holding up pretty well in the face of everything, and up until obviously this this puke down here. So yeah, this is looking potentially like a top as well. However, it still has a bit more work to do. However, it can trade down here, and the yield can trade down and not really run into any resistance for a while. Let's look at stochastics. Because we do know we're going to be having trouble with the stochastic. 4 hour though, 4 hours our friend for what it's worth. I guess we're on a tighter period of low vol here in this immediate present term. Obviously we've had an aggressive move down, but yeah, so maybe the 4-year can hold us up a bit longer. 12 hour looking to try and turn it up from a low level, so maybe that'll help us out. Daily, this is a good one to see though. Daily has now come all the way down, reset. Well, it's not reset because price action came down with it, but it has come down now, so it can then potentially give us some support to the upside. Buy daily though, down, plenty of room to run. Same with 3-day, down, plenty of room to run. This 5-day is not so bad, because if we do make a half decent move to the upside, this can be undone, and it's not the most aggressive downward move. Similarly for the weekly isn't either, and then obviously bi-weekly down there, monthly down there. So like we've been looking at these longer term, these larger time frame, longer time frame stochastics, they are looking good for a bottom in at some point in the near future, nearing like the next few weeks to month. However, it's not going to say that the bottom's in, because clearly it wasn't. And we can obviously trade more down at the moment, and did here, but that's not to say that we're not in the vicinity time wise of the bottom. And then yeah, I mean, do we flush down lower towards 13,000, maybe even lower, maybe, but do over the next like month or so, do we put in the actual bottom and start to move back up? Yeah, potentially we could. So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. Yeah, new week, new land of opportunity. So yeah, obviously sentiment is immensely bearish at the moment. Is immensely bearish, but bearish. Sentiment will be bad though when you go and lose all your funds, and that doesn't mean you can then go and sell anything or whatever, but it does mean that you maybe are going to think twice about buying, or maybe it means you got to buy in again now because you've lost your money, you've been flushed out, so now you're underexposed if you believe in this space. But that is obviously just trying to put a bit of a positive spin on things. But yeah, hope we're all right out there. So remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.